And it's time now to take a look through the international press with Elena Casas. Hello again, Elena. What have you got to start off with?
Well, let's start with the US and Israel after Netanyahu's visit to Obama yesterday. Now, Obama did say, of course, yesterday that he wants to give time for diplomacy and sanctions to work, but that doesn't stop the Los Angeles Times blaming him for rattling the saber. Why are they blaming him? Well, they say he's playing far too much into Netanyahu's hands by giving him too many signals, saying the Israeli administration is making more and more warlike noises, and Obama is indulging them too much as far as they're concerned. They say that the administration is taking plans for an attack on Iran really very seriously. They report that the Pentagon has sent the White House a list of technical options for how that could possibly happen. And they're studying quite realistically the prospective different scenarios. But they say that there are very few people in the actual military, very few generals actually support this option. They say that to start with, there's no guarantee that the military option would actually stop Iran from developing nuclear weapons. They may well be in bunkers under the ground that can't realistically be bombed. And on the other hand, it could then get the US deeply mixed into a long and complicated war that could drag on for years, just as long as Iraq or Afghanistan. Some retired generals have actually come with a rare sort of public outing of their personal views, published an advertisement in the Washington Post that they paid for yesterday, headlined, "Dear Mr. President, please resist the option of starting a war of choice in Iran." They sign that and say that there's just nothing that war could achieve, and they want the president to back off. In that Washington Post, they say that he might be facing more internal pressure from within from within the Jewish lobby, than he actually is external pressure from Israel itself. They've been to some of the American-Israeli Congress speeches over the last couple of days, and they say that some senators, like Joe Lieberman, some strongly pro-Israel senators, are, if anything, agitating for war more than Netanyahu himself. And so Obama, and of course in an election year, is facing a substantial amount of pressure there. But Haaretz says in its editorial back in Israel itself that at least Obama is sticking to what matters. He's remembering that peace is the most important thing here, and that Israel's government would do well to internalize what he said yesterday.
So those talks between Netanyahu and Obama took place in Washington. We're going to stay in the US because, of course, today is Super Tuesday. What are the papers making of that then?
Well, Ohio is one of the biggest election battlegrounds, and the New York Times is reporting from there, saying that in its industrial heartland, it's the white working class voters that can make all the difference. Now, Mitt Romney is thought to be generally stronger on the economy than Rick Santorum, but Romney, of course, is from a very privileged background, and that plays badly with these working class voters, whereas his rival Santorum grew up in a steel town in Pennsylvania and has that kind of background that he can draw on in telling his personal story to voters and trying to win them round alongside his social conservatism, of course. Now, they do say that overall Mitt Romney will probably win out amongst those voters because those who want a Republican president realise that he is the best place to beat Obama. But because of this row over just how wealthy Romney is, how much inherited wealth he has, how many close friends he has in very high places, it's given Obama's team a very easy door to push at when they're campaigning for this very same white working class electorate in November. The Huffington Post is saying this. They're looking beyond Super Tuesday today, saying that really Romney is the only one who can really get the delegates. We know he's going to win, but he's made it easier. This amount of split within the Republican Party has fragilized him and made things easier for the Obama campaign.
Now, you've got more on this radio host who's caused a controversy by calling a woman a slut.
Yes, one of the most popular conservative talk radio show hosts in the US, Rush Limbaugh, who said she called a woman who was complaining about how her health insurance doesn't cover contraceptives, and so her fellow students couldn't necessarily pay for them, a slut and a prostitute. This has caused an awful lot of anger, as you might imagine, among liberals and feminists in the US. But the Washington Post is saying that none of the Republican candidates have really opposed him properly. Mitt Romney just said he wouldn't use those words, whereas Santorum said he was only trying to be funny. So the paper says that as long as they continue to play like this into the hands of really right-wing talk show hosts, how can we believe that these candidates are going to stand up to Ahmadinejad and Putin on the world stage, they say, if they can't stand up to a conservative radio presenter here in America?
Okay, thank you very much, Elena, for running us through the international newspapers.